Hello, my name is Pena, and I'm an author of books for young people. And I wanted to send this special message out to Glen Elementary students. I think that I used to be in your shoes in many ways, and I wanted to just tell you a couple things about how surprising it is to me that I'm sitting here on this video as an author. When I was a kid, I was never one of the best students. I was always very average. I never thought of myself as smart. In fact, I went to school to survive, not to excel. But it's interesting because as an adult, I found out that average, ordinary people can go on to do really interesting things with their lives. So if any of you think of yourself as average, you're not getting the top scores in the class, but you're also not struggling the most, you're somewhere in the middle, that's a great place to be as long as you're working hard. I also want to share with you that I grew up in a community where education wasn't the focal point. It wasn't what everybody talked about. Where I grew up, it was all about being loyal to your family and being hardworking. And when I say hardworking, I mean working hard with your hands, working with cement, being a landscaper, just doing something that involved physicality. So that was the messaging in my community. I grew up right next to the Mexican border in San Diego, where I'm actually making this video because after being away for 15 years, I was so excited to come back here and to work with students in my community who maybe could go on to do something that they never thought was possible. So that's my new mission. Young people, maybe like you. So I ended up going to college thanks to a sport. Now, when you're young, you often hear, don't waste your time playing sports because you should really be doing other things. Well, I happen to believe that sports can really change a person's life. It can give you direction, discipline, and for me, it led to me getting a college education. I became the first de la Pena to go to college. And when I was there, I fell in love with books. I fell in love with stories. And I started to think, I wonder if I could write a book of my own one day. Now, this was an odd thought because at the time I thought my life was so ordinary. It was like everyone else's. Why would somebody read a story about somebody like me? Well, this is what all of us think. We all think our lives are so ordinary, but that's only because we live it every day. We don't know any difference. So, I want to tell you all, each one of you has an incredible story that you could tell based on your own life. And did you know that a lot of people across the country would be curious about the way you're growing up, about your neighborhood, about the way you move in and out of school and home? These are the stories that I want to read. So I want to encourage you, if any of you are interested in telling your story, I think you should do it. One other thing I wanted to relate to you is that I've written several novels, but I also write a lot of picture books, and the picture books would be more appropriate for you. And I draw on my own experiences when I write these picture books. So a book like Last Stop on Market Street, just like the main character CJ, I grew up taking the bus all over with my grandmother. The illustrator, Christian Robinson, he was actually raised by his grandmother. I wrote a book called Carmela Full of Wishes about a girl who has a father who is no longer with the family because he's been sent back to Mexico and he's trying to find a way to get back to the family in America. Why did I write this? Because in my community, in my own family, I had people who lived on the wrong side of the border than us. Now, I want to clarify. The Mexican side of the border is the right side of the border, but not when I'm living in San Diego and I want to be close to my family. So we would visit them, but they couldn't come across the border to America to visit us on other occasions, because that's not the way it works at the border. So some of the stories I've told draw on my own background, and maybe you will end up reading one of them. Maybe your teacher will explore them with you. And if you ever do read one of my books, just know, in a way, it's me writing my story for you. And the only thing I ask in return is that eventually you write your story for me and my family. So I hope you have a great year. These are difficult times right now during a pandemic, but just give your teachers respect, give your parents respect, and do your best. And I wish you all the luck in the world. Bye.